KEET-TV and the League of Women Voters of Humboldt County present a forum for candidates running for the office of Recorder-County Clerk, Registrar of Voters of Humboldt County. Viewers may submit questions during this forum by calling 707-445-0811. This forum is also being streamed live at KEET.org. And now your moderator from the League of Women Voters, Nancy Kay.
Good evening. Tonight, the League of Women Voters and KEET-TV present the candidates for County Clerk, Recorder, and Registrar of Voters. The term of office is 4 years. The annual salary is $150,592. If you have questions for the candidates, please call 445-0811 now. The League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan political organization, encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. Membership in the League is open to men and women over the age of 16. Let's introduce our candidates. Tonight we have Juan Pablo Cervantes and Tiffany Hunt Nielsen. The candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question, and they will have an opportunity to summarize their positions and qualifications in 1 minute closing statements. Again, if you have questions for our guests, please phone 445-0811 now. We will begin with our first question. The description of the position you're running for is that the Recorder Clerk records or files various authorized documents, including fictitious business names and notary bonds and maps. The Recorder Clerk registers all births, deaths, and public marriages occurring within Humboldt County. Once recorded and filed, the documents and certificates are made available for examination within the office for interested parties. Now, the Register of Voters part of the position is committed to ensuring all eligible residents have an opportunity to exercise their right to vote, conducting elections in a fair, accurate, and efficient manner, and providing reliable information and the best possible service to voters, districts, candidates, and other interested parties. With those descriptions in mind, can you ask me, and we'll start with Tiffany. Can you answer what skills and experiences do you have for these positions?
Thank you for the question. I have 20 years of experience working with recorded documents. I have been working at the Recorder's office for 3.5 years now, and I handle the functions of the clerk and recorder daily, and I know how the processes all work. I have also worked in the elections office. During a few of the elections, I was a liaison in the call center for poll workers to verify voter registration status and party information. And I have worked in the HART voting system, adjudicating ballots to verify voter intent. So my experience is actually in both offices.
Okay, thank you. And Juan?
So the office is broad in terms of the functions of it. Ultimately, though, it's an administrative office. My experience in both offices is administrative in nature. I've helped the Clerk Recorder's office with board items and personnel issues. And on the election side of things, I'm currently the election manager and have overseen the past election and have gradually increased in my responsibilities in that office through the past few elections. And let me see the other part of the question. Skills-wise, my background is in public administration. I feel like I bring a strong skill set in that I can make the office more efficient and accessible for voters and residents.
Okay, and as a follow-up question, how would you balance both roles in this position? How do you balance those? We'll start again, or we'll start with Juan.
I think seeing them as one office is key. Bringing the teams together, ensuring that there's cross-training available for both sides. But ultimately, I think it's the creation of solid process, developing policies that are consistent and well crafted. Going forward is the way that both offices get balanced. They're in two discrete geographic locations. One of the things I'd like to look into is seeing about a deputy clerk, recorder, registrar of voters. This office is one of the few that doesn't have a deputy under them, but could massively benefit from that.
Okay, Tiffany?
I would balance the offices. They are very different. They're different in location, and they are different in the requirements, and different requirements during certain times of year. I think that being visible in both offices is key. Letting your employees know that you're available to them, letting the public know that you're available to them, opening communication lines, and answering questions in an efficient manner, and responding to emails and phone calls will help everyone know that you're available and want to do a good job.
Okay, thank you. We'll start again with you, Ms. Nielsen. Then the question is, do you believe that voter fraud is a significant problem in California or Humboldt County? Why or why not? Please explain your answer.
I do not believe that voter fraud is a significant problem in Humboldt County. I've experienced the elections during the election time, and I believe in the integrity of our elections and how our election process, there are processes in place to prevent the fraud. People are concerned about people who have passed away and their names being still on ballots. There are processes in place to take care of that, and I believe that they are being well handled in our county.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cervantes.
I don't believe that's an issue in California or Humboldt County. I think there's a strong state legislation, rules and laws that prohibit that from being something we need to worry about in California or Humboldt County. As the election manager, I oversee those same processes here. I work with my peers across the state to ensure that that regardless of your political party or your wish for a particular candidate, that everyone feels confident in those results. It's critical to the democratic process that faith is upheld and that objective truth prevails.
Okay, thank you. And this is sort of a follow-up question as well. And we'll start again with you, Juan. Why is this election important? Do you have comments on how its importance parallels what's been going on countrywide with the elections?
I think they're all important elections. I think this one is definitely important in that across this country we're seeing an attempt to not just disenfranchise voters, but to cause doubt in the process. I think when we look at voter turnout, it was at an all-time low in the primary. Maybe not all time. It hasn't been that low since 2014. But that issue remains, is that the institution seems to be under attack, and it's critical to make sure that we elect officials and representatives that will uphold this process and govern without interference from outside parties.
Okay, thank you. Tiffany?
I believe every election is important. Every candidate feels that it's important, and I think that voters need to feel it's important as well. I do believe that we have had less voters come out because they don't feel that their votes are counted or that they matter, and I think that we need to have a more open lines of communication so that people know how important their vote really is. I think we need to get more community members involved. When your name is on the ballot, you have a lot of friends and family that invest in your campaign, and I've learned that through this election, and I think that helps grow the passion for voting, and I think that needs to come back.
Okay, thank you. Again, if you have questions, please call in to 445-0811. And the next question we have is going to be directed to Tiffany first, and that is, both of you work in the Clerk, Recorder, and Elections Office while you are a candidate to lead that office. What job functions are you going to perform, and what job functions do you need to step away from since you are a candidate?
My primary job is at the Clerk Recorder's office, and during the election it doesn't affect anything on my job duties on the daily basis. And I've recused myself from working at the elections office during the primary, and I will do the same here.
Okay, thank you. Juan?
So it's a tough thing to manage. But we do so by avoiding even the appearance of impropriety. So anything that has to do with ballots, I remove myself from those processes. Luckily, my job is an administrative one. I oversee staff. I handle budgets. I deal with timekeeping. And so a lot of the functions that are within my office are ones that I can address without getting involved in any way that might seem inappropriate.
Okay, thank you. And back again to you, Juan. What organizations and individuals have endorsed your candidacy?
I've got a long list of endorsements, thankfully. The first one that comes to mind is one that makes me feel confident about my candidacy. Carolyn Cernich, the former Clerk, Recorder, and Registrar of Voters, a person that I think is more familiar with this job than most. That understands the complexities and difficulties of overseeing both offices, has endorsed me. State Assembly Member Jim Wood, Senator McGuire, both of them have endorsed me. They've definitely led our region in terms of the legislature, brought money here to Humboldt County, and furthered projects within their jobs. The Humboldt and Del Norte County Central Labor Council has endorsed me. I'm a strong advocate of organized labor. AFSCME, Local 1684 has endorsed me. That's the union that represents the county workers that will be working under my office.
Thank you. Tiffany?
Thank you. Endorsements are very important, and I'm pleased and honored to have many endorsements from those who have worked with and served over the years. Election leaders and the hardworking men and women who live and work in our community and help make this county great. I also have been endorsed by the Association of Realtors and the Local Survey Association, and those mean a lot to me because they actually work with our office on a daily basis, and their livelihood requires our office to be fully functioning and available.
Okay, thank you. And again, back to you, Ms. Nielsen. What relevant educational background do you have for this position?
My educational background is of hands-on work experience. I do have a surveying certificate for land surveying that I acquired in 2000, and I used it to assist a surveyor in the field for 2.5 years. And then I became I went to work at the title company after the company closed, and so I have hands-on work experience working with all of the recorded records and providing title searches for our community.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cervantes?
So I've got a bachelor's degree from Humboldt State University, Cal Poly Humboldt now. I've also have graduate coursework in a master's for public administration. Beyond that, I've attended the Harvard Kennedy School's Belfer Center when it comes to what they call the Battle Staff Boot Camp for addressing emergencies during elections. Yeah, the background I've got is pretty geared towards this office.
Okay, thank you. And we'll start with Mr. Cervantes again. What is your vision for Humboldt County's Clerk, Recorder, Register of Voters office if you're elected?
That's a broad question. I think one of the first things I'd like to see is seeing the scope of the office go beyond Eureka. The work that it entails involves the county, but we haven't done that much outreach when it comes to going beyond the city limits. I'd like to see a more proportional amount of access across the rural county that we're in. San Bernardino has tackled this problem with a mobile outreach vehicle where at a different point in the month, that vehicle provides clerk, recorder, and registrar of service functions throughout the county at different cities. Beyond that, I'd like to see more stakeholder engagement, whether it's with our local tribal members, different stakeholders in the community like the Association of Realtors. I'd like to see our office engage more with people. It's one thing to be responsive to symptoms. We really ought to be responsive to our residents. And to do so, we need to be in conversation with them.
Okay, thank you. And Tiffany?
My vision for both offices is actually to open up communication. I do believe that the Recorder's Office has had a break in communication with a lot of the public, and serving the public and their customers better is always a necessity. My biggest vision for the Recorder's Office is to let everyone know that we are available on our website. We have our documents available there. We get phone calls about that every day. It's very nice because now everything's available the next day normally, the next business day, for purchase of documents. The vital records are available on the website as well. Not directly, we use a service for that. I believe that for the election office, I think that improving the efficiency of the election counting, ballot counting, is a necessary process.
Okay, thank you. And again, Ms. Nielsen, we've heard that the office runs off a relatively small budget and it's under-resourced. Do you agree with that? And if so, how will you advocate for more resources? Do you have previous advocacy experience?
I do not have previous advocacy experience. That's a hard word. I do, however, know that the clerk recorder's office is not in a deficit. We do bring in financial money that actually helps the elections office, I believe, because that's one of the reasons that the offices are together, so that we can assist them. Fiscally, the clerk recorder's office is handling a lot of income on a daily basis, and granted, some of that goes to the different cities and it goes to the state, but we are fiscally sound.
Okay, thank you. And Juan?
Yeah, I'd first like to make a correction, if it's appropriate, in that our office gets funding from the general fund. Like most other offices in Humboldt County, one department isn't necessarily funding the other. I do have advocacy experience. I've advocated at HSU, now Cal Poly, for greater resources for students in the university. I've done so through Access Humboldt. I've sought grants with other organizations. I'm willing and I have the skill set to make sure that we get our fair share of state dollars, and I'm looking forward to doing that kind of work.
Okay, thank you. And Juan, now back again. What will you do to increase accessibility to the clerk recorder, Register of Voters offices for marginalized communities in Humboldt County?
So I think I've already talked about some of that approach, and that's doing outreach. That's meeting people where they're at, which is critical for that kind of work. Different people have different needs, and seeing how our office can better interface with them is key. One of the reasons, I guess, a bit of background about me is that I'm the child of immigrants, and I was often the translator and interface between my mom and parents and government. And as I've done this work, one of the important things I take into it is that I'd like for our office to treat people like I want my mom to be treated. I think having that greater customer service, having that greater care and treating people like humans rather than processes is key. We should be the bureaucrats, and our customers, our residents, shouldn't feel compelled to being that. They shouldn't feel like they need to know the magic words in order to get the services that they need.
Okay, thank you. Tiffany.
Thank you. The Clerk Recorder's Office has actually increased the accessibility via the internet. During COVID, we learned a lot about having issues with that process and the necessity for it, and we expedited the process. So everything that we record is available on our website. The clerk filings are also available on our website, CEQA documents, fictitious business name statements, all of those things are available to purchase on our website. And for accessibility purposes, we have actually gone downstairs when people have accessibility issues getting into the recorder's office. It is on the 5th floor. It is not a simple process to go through 2 elevators and locate us. And so it is very important to have accessibility and willingness, flexibility to make contingencies. As everyone who's 18 knows that they have the right to vote, and they need to pursue that process.
Okay, thank you. And this will be our last question, and we'll start again with Tiffany. Do you have experience with the Transparency Project, and how would you say it has helped to maintain the reputation of Humboldt's fair and honest election department?
I do not have experience with the Transparency Project. I do advocate for it, and I do believe it is a wonderful process, but I have no experience working with it.
Okay, and Juan?
I've got a lot of experience with the Transparency Project. I've been the liaison over the course of the past few elections. The Election Transparency Project is something unique to Humboldt County. No other county in the state has a project like it. I'm going to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about it because I'm so proud of their work. The Transparency Project does a complete audit of all of our ballots with a chain of custody so that there's an immediate recount that happens right after we process the ballots. Having that level of radical transparency is incredible for the county, for the process. It means that there's a checksum in place where voters can feel more confident knowing that it's not just our machines that go through ballots, but that there's a separate entity that makes sure that all happens and that the records align and the results are similar, are the same.
Okay, and now it's time for closing statements. And Juan, can you give us your closing statement?
So, this has been a long process. You all have seen our names on the ballot twice now. We've been campaigning since at least November. I want to thank everyone for their support along the way. I'm looking forward to making this office more accessible, to building on the foundation that our previous 2 clerk recorders and registrar of voters, Kelly Sanders and Carolyn Cernich, have crafted. I think in terms of process in both offices, that's solid. I'd like to expand on that with my experience doing outreach. Customer service is a thing that we talk about a lot, but we can't just pay lip service to it. We need to talk about what it means to give good customer service. And a core component of that is respect, respecting your time, respecting your part in the process, and ensuring that whether you're a business person or a community member, that when you come into our office, that you get what you need in a timely fashion. I'd be honored to have your vote.
Thank you. And Tiffany, your closing statement.
Thank you to the League and to KEET for hosting tonight. My opponent and I have very different experience. His claim of 20 years of experience is of 3 years in the Humboldt County Elections Office as an election specialist. He became the election manager after he began his campaign. All of the other experience is as a seasonal poll worker, primarily in another county. My 20 years of experience with recorded documents often included 50 to 60 hours a week of hands-on, professional, and employed experience under the tutelage of veteran professionals with high standards, all in Humboldt County. I'm the candidate with the most experience in both offices. I have worked in the HART voting system, and I have adjudicated ballots to verify voter intent. Both offices require I've done my research, and I know I can serve our community well as the next clerk, recorder, and registrar of voters. Vote for Tiffany Hunt Nielsen, because every vote counts.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. On behalf of KEET-TV and the League of Women Voters, I want to thank the candidates for being here this evening, and especially thank you for running for office. Thanks to the viewers and listeners, especially those who called the questions in tonight. Please remember to vote on November 8th. Become an informed voter. Exercise your right to vote. Help make democracy work. Thank you.
My name is Harry Lynch. I'm the writer, director, and producer of Now Hear This. Now Hear This takes you to locations like you've never seen before and brings you great music from our most celebrated composers.
To Vivaldi.
Cheers. It's a chance to see and hear a lot of new and amazing things. PBS is the perfect home for this. There's no other network in the United States that does this kind of content. Programs like Now Hear This could not happen without your support. I'm a member of my local PBS station, and I hope that you will become one too. Thank you.